There's no way to pay off the debt. They're going to have to inflate it away. They're going to have to print a whole bunch of new dollars in order to service those payments in nominal terms. But in real terms, obviously they inflate the real value away, and that's beneficial for any real asset, anything else that can't be created out of thin air. And that, of course, includes gold, silver, and Bitcoin.
You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. This is Financial Survival Network. You are listening to your host, Kerry Lutz, and with us is our good friend, Alan Hibbard. And Alan, of course, you find him at goldsilver.com, on the YouTube channel, all of that. Alan, great to have you back. So we've had some major gyrations here in the market over the past month here. Luckily, I've been traveling, so I've paid a little bit of cursory attention to it, but I haven't gotten too deep into the weeds. Why don't you tell us out there what has been going on and what you see happening?
Yeah, well, thanks, Kerry. Good to be back. Thanks for having me, and I hope you enjoyed your vacation.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's sort of the way you want to live, right? You want to live first, and then all your financing and involvement with the markets should support living. So that's kind of what I like to do, even when I'm not on vacation. And when possible, I like to zoom out from the markets, not get caught up too much in the day to day. So as I look at what's been happening over the last few months and even years, I'm thinking that so much of the activity we're seeing and so much of the volatility in the markets is because of a lot of movement towards a new monetary system. So this is something that Donald Trump has hinted at, and this is something that his Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has hinted at pretty strongly. And they both have said that they like gold, they're gold bugs. And I think all this tariff shenanigans, I think it's kind of an agitate then alleviate situation. I think Trump wants to get everyone in one room and hash out a new monetary system, not just trade deals. I think it goes a lot deeper than that. So yeah. I think all that we've been seeing in the markets is all centered around a new monetary system and the uncertainty from a lot of big players around it.
All right, I'm going to run by a pet theory. I've written 3 articles about it. They're on financialsurvivalnetwork.com if anyone wants to look. So here's what I think he's up to. The strategic cryptocurrency reserve. All right. Now, one investor to another, Alan, what has been the best performing asset class of all time?
Well, Bitcoin.
Right. Yeah. So Bitcoin went from almost a penny to 105,000, pulled back, but now it's going back up. Is it a stretch to think that Bitcoin can go up 1,000, basically 1,000 times what it is now? It could be trading in the millions very quickly.
Yeah, I don't know if it can do 1,000x from where it is, like measured in today's dollars, but it certainly could do 100x, and not like in a day. I mean, it would take a few years to get there, but if you think of
100x,
yeah,
that's a mistake. 100x. But if there was an event that shook the markets, it could go up even faster, right?
Absolutely. I totally agree. And, the market cap is in the order of magnitude of like single digit trillions of Bitcoin. It easily could be in the hundreds of trillions of dollars.
Right.
That's not a stretch. So that would be a factor of 100x. That's 2 orders of magnitude. Very plausible.
All right. So let's go over this, because there is no way to pay off the debt unless you can find an asset that you got for next to nothing because you confiscated it, probably illegally, from hapless holders like Sam Bankman-Fried and Ross Ulbricht and numerous other money launderers and scammers who thought that their Bitcoin was unconfiscatable, but found out otherwise. And if you were buying up and accumulating Bitcoin in the background, waiting for this day, and then Bitcoin shoots up and you say, you got a chance. You got a choice here, guys. You can take your bond repayment in Bitcoin, or you'll hold on to it and you won't get any interest.
Yeah. I think that's exactly the boat that we're in. There's no way to pay off the debt. They're going to have to inflate it away. They're going to have to print a whole bunch of new dollars in order to service those payments in nominal terms. But in real terms, obviously they inflate the real value away, and that's beneficial for any real asset, anything else that can't be created out of thin air. And that, of course, includes gold, silver, and Bitcoin. So yeah, that is one of the things that could cause them to go up a lot in price.
And they don't have to print any money to do it, Alan. And assume that they're holding 1 million Bitcoins, right? I don't think that's a stretch to think that they're doing it because we don't have the ability to know how much they're holding. We can make guesses, 350 to 500,000, but I think it's closer to 1 million. So you get that thing up, what's 1 million worth right now? It's I can't even count that high, but if you get it up another 100 times, you pay off the debt or a chunk of it, and then you say, oh, we got all these other Bitcoins left. Let's put them into Social Security, recapitalize it with Bitcoin, and then privatize it.
Yeah, they might be doing that. Absolutely. But again, if you're on the receiving end of that, you're not going to get anything of value, right? So, that's why it makes sense that if you're a regular citizen, or if you're going to be a Social Security recipient, or a pension fund recipient, whatever, that's why it makes sense to just go after those hard assets yourself. Like, just acquire them now, and then you don't have to worry about what kind of shenanigans go on.
Exactly. And then, hey, everybody's happy. They didn't have to. They basically found an infinite gold mine, right? They took that gold and just said, all you people that owe us money, all you entities, we're giving you this gold. It's digital gold, but it's just as good. It's accepted worldwide, right? And, this is the kind of thing that it's the only choice they have, if you think about it, Alan, right? I mean, there is nothing else they can do, is there?
Well, so that first piece, you're basically saying confiscate Bitcoin and other digital assets from money launderers and criminals and so forth.
Windfall profits taxes on taxpayers like you and I.
Yes, absolutely. They could do windfall profits tax, and then I think you'd get a lot of people that dodge those taxes. Honestly,
yeah, but that's okay because there'll be a lot that don't, and it's not really going to matter,
Yeah, I mean, and another thing is just currency creation, right? So to fund deficit spending and to inflate away the real value of the debt. So it's kind of a combination of choices, but there's no choice. They have to do some combination of all that. So it all points in the same direction. Get a hold of the hard assets that no one can control, and then just live your life.
Yeah, but that they'll try something sneaky like this, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's what governments do.
And they have no choice. What's the choice? Choice is default, just default, great, basically express default. Inflation is implied or inferred default, or find an asset that's rarer and worth more than gold and revalue all of your debts in that because you've confiscated and grabbed it, and you'll windfall profits tax it, right? And that's how you do it.
Yeah, that absolutely. So we kind of know what set of choices they have, and all of them lead in the same direction.
Yeah, well, it's just another form of default, but it's a classier form of default, shall we say, right?
Yeah, I guess that's sort of it's a pick your poison situation. Yeah.
Man, I love it. It's like, this is why you need to be a free thinker, a critical thinker. Well, you can't buy into the narrative because the narrative is out there to control you. It's out there to make you not think. So, Alan, here's a simple question for you. How did you wake up?
How did I wake up?
To what they're trying to do to the system.
Oh, okay. Right. I think when I started studying the Federal Reserve and when I watched Hidden Secrets of Money by Mike Maloney, and that sort of woke me up.
That was a great one. Yep, that will live in history, man. times like that, I wish I had a better stage presence and I could do something like it. But Mike like knocked it out of the park. I think I interviewed him right around the time he did it too. So you need a little help, in other words, to get out of the mindset that the almighty dollar is going to be with us, like the Marine Corps, from Full Metal Jacket. And the drill sergeant said, men will live and die, but the Marine Corps is forever. Men will live and die, but the dollar is forever. But it's not.
Yeah, we act like it is, but it's not. Every fiat currency goes to zero. There have been hundreds, maybe probably even thousands throughout history that have gone to zero. And the only ones that haven't are the ones we currently have. But, it's only a matter of time. So, yeah, I totally agree with you. How did you wake up, by the way? How did you wake up to the scam of the dollar?
I was born awake to some extent based on who my father was. But I watched Milton Friedman's and Rose Friedman's documentary or special on PBS, believe it or not, which basically attacked everything that PBS holds near and dear, called Free to Choose, because at that time they were free to choose whatever they wanted to play. And he was a monetarist, but he was one of the smartest guys in the world. And well, he didn't maybe embrace gold and getting rid of fiat currencies, and he played the game for the system because he invented withholding tax and some other kind of devious tools that were used in World War II to finance the war. But in any event, it got me thinking, because it opens up, he's in Hong Kong before the Chinese took it over. And it's like, hey, this little piece of land here, this little rock, has no resources whatsoever other than its people. But unlike in England, they actually let it exist as a free market haven. And it became one of the wealthiest places on earth till, the Chinese decided to destroy it recently. So that's what set me down the path. And then I found the Austrians, von Mises. I read Human Action, Percy Greaves, Murray Rothbard, and Hayek. And I always knew the system was going to go bust. But during the 80s and 90s, it looked like it was doing okay. And not until we hit the GFC did I realize the jig is up.
Yeah. And of course, during the 80s and 90s, that's when the price of gold was tanking. It dropped 70% in those 2 decades. So, yeah. So what do you think? Do you think we're going to get a new monetary system? You think Trump and gang are going to work something out?
Yeah, well, that's what this is all about. Subduing China, reconnecting with Russia, all right, bringing them back into SWIFT and bringing them back into the economic system. And I think that's going to happen. It's probably going to require a coup in Ukraine, but hey, that's what the deep state does best, is coups, right? So we're going to get a coup in Ukraine shortly, because as long as Zelensky's there, nothing's going to happen here. Seems obvious. So we're going to get a coup. We're going to get a peace deal in Russia, and we're going to split it from China because they don't really like China. China just wants to colonize Siberia. That's their dream, because Russia's a land without people and China is a people without land. And they're on the border of Siberia, and they've been trying to colonize it for years. And now Russia is so in the hole to them that they need an out, because, that's what stopped them from even trying to take over all of Ukraine. They could have done it, I believe, but it's kind of, they're in a box. They do that, they'll never have rapprochement with the West, and then they'll be pushed further into China's pocket. And these are smart people here. I think Putin's a stone cold killer, but he's a smart killer. And Xi is on his way out, and Trump is digging his grave as we speak. Plus, I don't want to get into all this because it's getting detracting, but just look up tofu dreg in China on Google or whatever you're using, AI, and you will find out the truth about China. Anyway, so get back to gold here. How high you think it can go?
Well, measured in dollars, it depends how many dollars they create. So the sky's the limit. I think it easily could go to 10,000. A mere tripling from where it's at. That seems pretty reasonable. And if we sort of take the dollar out of the equation, cut out the middleman because it's a fictitious unit and measure gold against real stuff. If you look at the Dow gold ratio, absolutely there's a long way to go until we revert to the mean. And usually when we revert to the mean, we continue past it and then spring back in the other direction. So another doubling or tripling in the price of gold relative to the Dow or just relative to stocks in general is a gimme, right? That seems obvious to me. Over what time period, I don't know, but next few years, sort of depends on world events. But yeah, it's gold is extremely undervalued compared to stocks right now, even despite the big moves we've seen lately. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, exciting, and so you play it with mining stocks, you play it with buying gold, all of the above.
For me, I start with physical, and I want even more physical than I currently have. So I haven't gotten into mining stocks yet, but I could see obviously how that would be attractive, and they've been so beaten down lately that they're practically free to get a hold of. So I could see how miners would be attractive. I'm still leaning towards more physical at this point, but may get into miners in the future.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I definitely see it, but I think this year there's a cap, because there's all these other things happening. I think maybe we get 4,500 by the end of the year. I think that's pretty reasonable and respectable. You shouldn't expect any more than that. And hey, even if you don't get to it, it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. And, keep in mind, gold has already done 20% in the first third of the year. So if it does 20% two more times before the year is up, that's adding another $700 to the price, almost twice. So adding another 1,400 puts us just shy of 5,000. But like you said, even if it doesn't get there, by December 31st, who cares? It doesn't really matter. The future is sort of written. It's just a question of how fast do we get to the future?
This reminds me, when I started getting into this space, Alan, I read a quote from somebody, and I love quotes, but I don't remember it verbatim. But it said that things take a lot longer to occur than you ever thought was going to happen. But when they happen much faster than you ever believed possible.
Yeah, and I know that quote you're talking about. I can't tighten it up, but I know the one you're talking about. Yes, exactly.
And that is the absolute truth here, right?
Yes. It's a close cousin of gradually, then suddenly.
Yeah. How did you go broke? Was that
Hemingway?
Hemingway, right?
How did you go broke? Two ways: gradually, then suddenly.
It's up.
Yeah.
Slowly, then quickly.
Exactly.
The difference. Yeah. Well, I think we will leave it at that. Just tell us where we find you. How do we connect with you on the web? And how can we find out more about getting gold and getting our assets in order?
Yeah, so if you want to connect with me personally, probably Twitter or X is the best way to do it. My handle is my full name, Alan Hibbard. And for everything gold and silver related, go to goldsilver.com. That's our website. That's our YouTube channel. You can find so much free educational content. And of course, you can buy gold and silver.
Yeah, Mike's done such a service with that site. So many people have woken up to what's really happening, but nothing goes in a straight line. So they might have figured it out, and then they said, oh, everything's fine, gold's going down. And then all of a sudden, gold's going up. Besides Bitcoin, gold's been the best performing asset over, how long has it been? Certainly the past 10 years, or certainly the past 5, right?
Yeah, you could probably even go back 25 years, roughly the year 2000, the dot-com crash. After that, correct. The next 24, 25 years, gold has outperformed everything, yeah.
Yep. All right. Hey, It's been great having you on. If you've got a question for Alan and myself, I'm back from vacation. I'm recharged. Just shoot me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. Link to Alan's site is in the show notes to this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Just go there. And when you do, we just ask that you sign up for your free newsletter, which will give you a lot of this information, unfiltered, unfettered, uncensored. And if you got questions about this, then just shoot the email. We'll be there for you. Alan, great to see you. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Kerry.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.